Live from Cool Studios, this is koolNews Early Edition.
Well, good morning, and welcome to Cool News Early Edition. So, it is July 2nd, 2024, and we will be getting into this morning's headlines, what you might have missed from yesterday and today. Let's get into it right now. First headlines. First headlines. The country's dominant Marcos and Duterte dynasties, uneasy allies for 2 years, are gearing up for an election showdown that could upset policy stability in the coming years. Vice President Sara Duterte's resignation as Education Secretary on June 19 was followed a week later by her bombshell announcement that her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, and brothers Pablo, a lawmaker, and Sebastian, the incumbent Davao City mayor, would run for the Senate next year. The collapse of the alliance had long been expected, but the political challenges by the Dutertes could upset President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s hopes of consolidating power so he can groom a potential successor for 2028 when analysts say Sara Duterte may seek the top job. It is a threat, said Juan Ensignas Franco, a, a University of the Philippines political science professor said. It is a message to the Marcoses as it is a message to the Filipino people that we are alive and kicking. Marcos, who is the age of 66, right, shrugged off the Duterte's plans and telling reporters, it's a free country. They are allowed to do whatever they want. The Marcos and Duterte clans joined together opportunistically in 2022, sweeping Marcos and Sara Duterte into office despite his stark differences with his predecessor in terms of style and policy. Marcos has plotted foreign policy back toward traditional ally after the United States amid the Philippines maritime dispute with China, with which Duterte was friendly while starting potential peace talks with communist rebels. In a political culture where personality often trumps ideology, Marcos, the popular son and namesake of the late strongman Ferdinand Marcos Sr., presents a polished if blunt image in construct to the brash and profane Rodrigo Duterte. It is unclear how the potential candidate sees by Duterte, age of 79, and his sons might affect policy in the near term. But victories in the midterm elections by the Duterte family, backed by their strong political base, could complicate Marcos' efforts to pass laws that diverge from the Duterte's interest. The former president on Sunday denied the family's political plans as buried by his daughter. Don't believe in Sara Duterte. She's just making that up, he said. What will we do in the Senate, the three of us? He said he was through the politics. I had mellowed in age, he said, lalos na ako, I am past my prime. Critics, however, may regard his remarks as a playbook reminiscence of his professed indecision to seek the presidency in 2016. Political analyst Julio Amador said Duterte may be motivated to run for political protection since he is being investigated by the International Criminal Court over his signature drug war campaign in which thousands were killed during his presidency. Highlighting the complicated political partnership, apologies, really just woke up. I had this sore throat for some reason. Marcos has said the Philippines was considering rejoining the ICC but would not lift a finger to assist its investigation of Duterte, a former mayor and prosecutor. Mm-mm, mm. Marcos had a 55% approval rating in March, below that of Sara Duterte at 67%, with both declining from 3 months earlier, according to the latest quarterly survey by Pulse Asia. Sara Duterte, who age of 46, had been tipped to win the 2022 presidential election, but shifted to run with Marcos, seeing off any other rivals and sealing a comeback for his once disgraced family. A survey last year by social weather stations showed her the top pick for president in 2028. 11 months out from the midterms, Rodrigo Duterte is favored to win a Senate seat, and his sons, although trailing, could ride their father's coattails into office. The polls also like I'm really sorry, I'm having issues right now, but the polls also show likely Senate re-election for two of his closest allies, a former aide and the former police chief who oversaw his drug war. Three Dutertes in the Senate could tip the scales in the chamber, and it would not be far-fetched for the Patriarch to be voted Senate President, analysts say. This could put Marcos at risk of censures and congressional props, paving the way for the Dutertes to co-opt independents and sideline opponents. In the Senate, it is easy to launch investigations which can make or break presidential ambitions, Franco said. Former presidential advisor and political analyst Ronald Lamas said the Dutertes are facing an existential crisis given the ICC probe and Marcos dangling the possibility of reversing Rodrigo Duterte's removal of the Philippines from the Hague Court. Harry Roque, Duterte's spokesperson, when he was president, said the ICC had lost its jurisdiction after Manila's withdrawal went into effect. Still, Alama said their backs are against the wall. But Amador also pointed out, would the Senate giving up a sitting senator to an international tribunal? He noted further that flirting with potentially destabilizing Senate campaigns could also be a ploy by the Dutertes to be in the news. They're basically reminding the Filipino people that they are still a powerful name. Amador said they still have an impact on national politics. On national politics. The Manila Electrico Morocco clarified on Monday that it does not earn a dime if customers choose to settle the bills online, refuting claims made by a lawmaker over the weekend. The company released a statement in reaction to inaccurate reports questioning the inconvenience fees it was supposedly charging its customers. We will like to reiterate that there is no charge if customers use via e-wallet, and that convenience fees for other providers go to our payment partners, said Jos Zaldagariaga, Vice President and Corporate Communications Head of Morocco. We do not earn a single centavo from these convenience fees contrary to what was inaccurately stated, she added. Customers paying their electricity bills through mobile wallets, GCash and Maya pay an additional 6 and 7 pesos for convenience fees respectively. Visa, MasterCard, and GCB cards, on the other hand, charge 15 pesos. On Sunday, Surigao del Sur Representative Johnny Pimentel criticized Morocco for charging customers who pay online a 15 pesos convenience fee, saying its payment partner, CIS Vice Center, was actually 95% owned by the power distributor. He also urged the Energy Regulatory Commission to look into the matter. Morocco said these convenience fees allow it and its partners to maintain a secure and reliable online payment platform, but it pointed out that its consumers could also tap other payment options. The probe of the alleged data breach against popular e-wallet Gcash continues to take place as cybersecurity group Deep Web Connect claimed that the amount of potentially compromised data might be even bigger than previously reported. TIA-led company said on Monday that no indication of hacking have been found yet, adding that accounts of Gcash users have remained safe. Last week, Deep Web Connect reported that a cybersecurity attack was launched by threat actor Krypton Zombie against the Know Your Customer system of Gcash. KYC is the process of verifying the account user's identity as a way to mitigate fraud, money laundering, and other cybersecurity risks for financial institutions. This requires users to submit personal data like valid IDs and digital signatures, making the system an attractive target for hackers. The group said that some 200,000 data subjects linked to Gcash KYC system were potentially affected, but it later claimed that the cyber attack was much bigger and the number of compromised data subjects could actually be in the millions. Our team has new findings and found out that more sensitive documents are exposed and noted. This included statements of accounts from several banks, national IDs, government employee IDs, company IDs, and pay slips. Deep Web Connect stressed that the breach highlights the urgent need for robust security measures to protect user data. GCAS said it was working with regulators and authorities in investigating the matter. This was not the first time it dealt with a cybersecurity issue. Just last year, the e-wallet received numerous complaints over unauthorized deductions in its users' account balance, which it was able to restore eventually. Gcash explained that no hacking was involved. Instead, it explained that they were deliberate phishing attempts, a fraudulent activity whereby hackers trick victims into providing their personal information, such as contact details. Getting a hold of this information can allow hackers to take over one's account. In response, Gcash fully rolled out double safe face ID feature, which is activated for every first login to a new device by the user. It is backed by facial recognition, which prevents hackers from accessing the account despite tricking users into giving their mobile PIN and one-time PIN. It also inked an information sharing pact with the National Bureau of Investigation in January to strengthen incentives against criminals, formalizing their already ongoing cooperation. Gcash, on its part, monitors potential suspicious activities in this platform, which will then be reported to the NPI for further investigation. And the state-owned Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corp, Pagor, may just be trying to deflect the heat after it belatedly claimed that a former cabinet official had acted as a conduit of some Philippine offshore gaming operators' focus involved in criminal activities, Senator Sharon Kachilian said on Monday. Nonetheless, Kachilian said he had initiated his own investigations to check the allegations of POGO chair Alejandro Tanco, who has opposed the calls to pull the plug on all POGO companies in the country. He said Tanco should have named the former high-ranking government official in the previous hearings, presided over by Senator Rizal Ontiveros, who chairs the Senate Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality. This just proves that the Pogos have connections with those occupying high posts in the government, Gaudrillo said in an interview after attending an event in this town. Their connections really reach the different agencies of our government, including those in the cabinet. Tanko should just give us the name and spare us the suspense, he added. Asked if poker was just diverting the attention away from its complexity in poker-related crimes, he said that's also possible, but poker's accountability remains. If you remember, those pokers that were rated were previously approved by poker, so we will still hold them to account, the senator noted. But Chilean, who has joined Hontiveros and other senators in calling for a total ban on pokers, said the state gaming regulator should stop arguing that the ban should only cover illegal pogos. As shown in the raids conducted by the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, the senator said several licensed online gambling facilities were also used by syndicates behind scams, kidnapping, torture, human trafficking, and other heinous crimes. According to Kachilian, the gaming license that Parker granted to legal pogos paved the way for syndicates to come into the country. Plus, we also that Pogo has been very ineffective in monitoring those Pogo operating Pogos. Tanko should also discuss what he knows, not just the name, but the documents linking this person to Pogos so that it will not just be hearsay or his personal opinion, he added. In a statement on Saturday, Tanko said the unnamed former cabinet official had lobbied for the issuance of gaming licenses for Pogos that authorities recently raided. Two of the more prominent pogos that were closed by PAOCC this year were Suan Technology Incorporated in Papatulac and Lucky Start 99 Corp in Orlac, Pampanga. Tanco said he would disclose the name of the former cabinet official in the proper form, adding, we are also ready to reveal the roles of other controversial individuals behind these criminal pogo enterprises. At the House of Representatives, Surigao del Norte Representative Robert H. Harbers on Monday called on Pogo to publicly name all licensed and unlicensed Pogos, which he described as one-stop shops of criminal activities. In a statement, he also expressed alarm over a supposed trend where Chinese Pogo workers were being replaced with Southeast Asian employees or Asian employees. Citizens of member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are allowed visa-free entry to the Philippines. Barbers claimed that nationals from ASEAN countries, including Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia, were replacing Chinese workers and warned the Bureau of Immigration against giving them working visas in exchange for bribe money. We have seen the un- unimpeded influx of Chinese who were given student and retiree visas by the BI and the Philippine Retirement Authority. We are not done yet with our investigation, so I am warning these agencies not to extend working visas to these new arrivals who are being used to replace Chinese employees in the Pogos, he said. He extended his warning to Pogor, vowing to hold agency officials accountable once it is proven that Pogos raided for criminal activities were licensed or that licensed Pogos protected or sponsored by influential personalities were made havens of criminal activities. We will make sure that those negligent, incompetent, and corrupt will be punished, he stressed. All right, it is almost 6:20 in the morning, and koolNews Early Edition will be right back. Stick around.
Samang inasal, chicken nasal. Salt, 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 ihaw, sarap, so juicy. Salt, 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 manok na sol pasala. Ang laki. Sa iyo, sarap at laki, sol. Samang inasal, chicken nasal.
Hi, going out?
Turn off kay Crush. Use Close-Up with antibacterial zinc for all-day amazing fresh breath for up to 12 hours with regular use.
Kasha pa?
Kasya pa sa tabi ko.
Dare to get closer with Close-Up.
Naamoy mo ba yun?
Baka naaamoy ka na rin ng katabi mo.
Baka as emergency na yan. Check yourself and use Rexona after every bath. Ang #1 Dio lotion ng bayan. Say no to as emergencies.
Samang inasal, chicken nasal. Salt, 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 ihaw, sarap, so juicy. Salt, 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 manok na sol pasala. Ang laki. Sa iyo, sarap at laki, sol. Samang inasal, chicken nasal.
Bored ba kayo o walang magawa sa buhay? Pwes, narito na ang DJ nyo na si Chito Merienda na siguradong maghahatid ng music na nakaka-feel good.
Welcome back to koolNews Early Edition. Well, let's continue with the headlines now where we left off. So let's give me a second. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. Let's get into the headlines now. Senator Juan Miko Subiri reiterated on Monday that all government procurement rules were followed in the construction of a new Senate building in Taguig City as he welcomed the review that his successor, Senate President Francis Escudero, had ordered. Everything regarding this project is above board, Subiri told reporters after leading the 22nd Philippine-Spanish Friendship Day celebration here. Members of the Senate staff will not sign documents that do not go through the mandated process. No proper bidding or proper transparency and accountability. We will never agree to that, he said. The former Senate leader made the remarks 2 days before the Senate Accounts Committee, now chaired by Senator Alan Peter Catiano, was set to open a public hearing on the multi-billion peso project. Asked if there were irregularities in the project, Zubiri replied, "Of course, absolutely not." According to him, his predecessor, former Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III, and former Senator Panfilo Lacson would not allow any illegal practice to stand the project, which was first proposed by the latter in 2017. Both Soto and Lacson, he pointed out, were known to be sticklers for accountability and transparency. When I inherited the project after I became Senate President, I made it clear that everything should be transparent and above board and consistent with the government procurement law, Sobiri said. He added that he was confident that Senator Nancy Binay, who took over supervision of the project from Locson, was able to ensure there will be no misappropriation of public funds and that the safety and security of the building will not be compromised. I think she has done a great job, Subiri said of Binay. Binay earlier ruled the decision of Escudero to suspend the project even before and she could formally turn over his supervision to Catiano. Escudero cited the building's ballooning costs from 8.9 billion pesos to 23.3 billion pesos, but clarified he was not saying there were irregularities in the project. Zubiri defended the decision of the 24-member chamber to pursue the construction of the 11-story four-tower structure during the 17th Congress, which counted both Escudero and Catiano as members then. He noted that the Senate or its equivalent legislative body in other countries all have their own headquarters. The Senate of the Philippines, he lamented, had been spending nearly 500 million pesos a year in renting the old building owned by the government service insurance system in Pasay City. The government has approved a 35 peso increase in the daily minimum wage for workers in the National Capital Region, a decision widely criticized as an insult and a disgrace by labor groups and some opposition lawmakers. The wage hike approved by the Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board will raise the daily minimum pay from 610 pesos to 645 pesos for non-agricultural workers in Metro Manila, wage order number NCR-25 signed on June 27 and published on Monday will take effect 15 days after its publication. The Department of Labor and Employment defended the increase, saying the new rates, which translate about 5.7% increase from the prevailing daily minimum wage rates in the region, remain above the latest regional poverty threshold for a family of five. It added that the wage order was expected to directly benefit 988,243 minimum wage earners in Metro Manila, with potential indirect benefits for some 1.7 million full-time wage and salary workers earning above the minimum wage. However, labor groups have expressed their strong disappointment. The Nakaisa labor group emphasized that the increase fell significantly short of the 150 peso daily wage hike proposed by the National Wage Coalition, which includes the puluran ng manggagawang Pilipino, kilusang Mayo Uno, ng nakaisa and the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. In statement, NWC called the increase of disgrace. Nakaisa pointed out that the minimum adjustment represented only 23.33% if of the necessary wage recovery or the amount needed to bring the minimum wage to a decent living wage level. For Union President Joel Tonko of the Magalajar Labor Union FFW or Federation of Free Workers based at the port area of Cagayan de Oro City, it was a tactic to divert attention from the growing and prevent advocacy for a 150 peso daily wage hike through legislation. This wage order displays once again how insensitive the wage boards are to the plight of workers, Tonko said. The NCR Regional Wage Board proved once again to be so myopic. They opted to protect business profits rather than the bigger social purpose of the wage increase, added TUCP Vice President Luis Corral. He emphasized the, he emphasized the broader implications of inadequate wages, citing alarming statistics. According to UNICEF Philippines, every day 95 children in the Philippines die from malnutrition, and 27 out of 1,000 Filipino children do not get past their fifth birthday. A third of Filipino children are stunted or short for their age. KMU Secretary General Jerome Adonis, for his part, said on the second anniversary of Marcos in office, his gift to the workers is a huge insult. He called for a wage review to address the workers' call for the wage increase, then decided to only give 35 pesos. It's not even enough for a kilo of rice. Labor groups have been pressing for more substantial action, including the passage of House Bill number 7871, known as the Wage Recovery Act, which seeks a daily across the board 150 peso wage hike for all private sector workers. A 100 peso daily minimum wage hike was approved in the Senate in February. House Assistant Minority Leader Arlene Rosas described the wage increase as insulting to Filipino workers, pointing out that it fell short of what families needed to live with dignity. This 35 peso increase is an insult to Filipino workers. It's barely different from the 25 peso wage hike implemented way back in 1989 and lower than the 14 peso hike granted last year, she stressed. How can the government expect NCR workers to survive on 645 pesos a day when the family living wage stands at 1,200 pesos and when prices continue to accelerate? Meanwhile, a major group of employers said they would comply with the new minimum wage hike set in Metro Manila, despite it being more than the 15 peso to 20 peso increase they were pushing for. Since it was thoroughly studied and we were well represented in the tripartite wage board, we will respect the decision. Employers Confederation of the Philippines, ECOP President Sarigo Ortiz Luis Jr. told the Inquirer on Monday. The ECOP official said that calculation was based on the impact of inflation on wages, as well as the carryover cushion provided by the 40 peso daily minimum wage hike approved last year. Despite the group's reception to the new wage order, Ortiz Luz Jr. said that some supporters within the business community were expressing their frustration about the measure. Although they are not our members, I have heard that micro businesses are the ones protesting that they will not be able to cope, he said. He noted that many of these businesses were in the retail and food services sector. From the perspective of our local consumer rights group, Malayang Consumer, the wage hike was a welcome development, but not enough to empower consumers in today's economic environment characterized by a continuous rise in the cost of goods. And some relieving news, the Philippines' oldest political prisoner walked free after more than a decade behind bars on Sunday. It what his friends and colleagues described as a milestone for human rights campaigns and a stark reminder of the difficulties faced by other detainees awaiting their day in court. Gerardo de la Peña, age of 85, emerged from New Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa City at 9:30 p.m., ending an 11-year incarceration that became a rallying point for prison reforms and a spirited campaign for his release on legal and humanitarian grounds. Visually frail and carrying a small bag of belongings, the former activist, known to friends and family as Tata Gary, was greeted by his son Mokjor and Fides Lim, spokesperson for Kapatid, a support group for political prisoners that spearheaded the movement for his release. We are very happy that Tata Gary can finally return home to his family and reunite with his wife Pilar in her twilight years, Lim said in a statement. His release is a milestone for human rights campaigns, but also serves as a stark reminder of the obstacles that impeded the release of political prisoners, she said. De la Peña, a former leader of Sam, Sam, Samahan ng mga ex-detainees laban sa detention at Arresto in Camarines Norte province and a Kapiti member, was arrested in March 2013 for allegedly shooting and killing his nephew, also named Malchor, on April 21, 2001. At the age of 75, he was found guilty by the Daet Camarines Norte Nor- Regional Trial Court in February 2014 and sentenced to a prison term of 20 to 40 years. The prosecution had presented testimonies from witnesses who claimed that De La Peña and his brother Armenio were members of the Communist New People's Army who suspected Melchor of being a military intelligence asset. The NPA later claimed responsibility for Melchor's killing, while De La Peña denied that he was an NPA member, insisting he was merely a scapegoat who was wrongfully convicted of a crime. Though, throughout his imprisonment, De La Peña had maintained his innocence and continued his advocacy for human rights. His release came after years of lobbying by rights groups, culminating in a March 2024 recommendation by the boards of Bodons and Malale to commute his sentence to 12 years. Tatay Gary's journey to freedom was very difficult because of systemic challenges and bureaucratic delays. It's concerning why the PPP could not immediately implement its own board resolution number OT-08-02-2023, allowing executive clemency for prisoners who reach 70 years old and serve 10 years for after sentence, them said. The fact is, Tyler Gary had already overserved his commuted sentence, serving exactly 12 years and 2 months as of June 12, aside from the good conduct time allowance he accrued. Every additional minute behind bars is a gross injustice for an innocent man, she added. Kapatid said it was Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Ramula who who facilitated the release with support from the Commission on Human Rights and different advocacy groups. While De La Peña walks free, hundreds of political prisoners remain in detention in the Philippines. According to the rights group Karapatan, there are some 800 political prisoners languishing in jails or prisons nationwide. Many of the activists are ordinary citizens. The release of political prisoner Gerardo de la Peña is a testament to the power of perseverance, diligence, and community in overcoming challenges, Lim said. We extend our heartfelt thanks in particular to Rembula for facilitating his release, the Commission on Human Rights for its unwavering support, and everyone here and abroad who helped in this collective effort, she said. Stick around, koolNews Early Edition will return after these messages. It is now 6:42 in the morning. Welcome back to Cool News Early Edition. Let's continue the headlines for the last 10 minutes before we wrap up our morning's headlines. Just give me a second. I'm just going to refresh my news source. All right. Okay, here we go. Some critics on Manila cited the country's foreign policy under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. as the reason for Russian President Vladimir Putin's attention to the United States military deployment in the Philippines. Putin, in the televised address on Friday, called for the resumption of his country's missile production and raised the possible deployment of these weapons after noting that the United States brought missiles to Denmark and the Philippines. Today, it is known that the United States not only produces these missile systems, but has already brought them to Europe for exercises to Denmark. Quite recently, it was announced that they are in the Philippines, said the Russian leader. His remarks were also reported by the Voice of America, the state-owned news network and international broadcaster, radio broadcaster referring to that, of the United States. Former lawmaker Carlos Izagani Zarate of the party list by Muna said the government's U.S. satellite-like foreign policies under Mr. Marcos has contributed to bringing the world to the brink of a renewed nuclear arms race. We demand that the Marcos administration abide by the constitutional ethics of pursuing an independent foreign policy and making the Philippines free of nuclear arms and foreign troops, he said in the statement. Bayamuna warned that Marcos' current foreign policy direction could make the Philippines a potential target for nuclear attacks from countries that are not necessarily enemies of the Filipino people. Senator Colino Pimentel III said the country should never allow the deployment of missile systems by foreign military forces. The launch buttons for these foreign-owned and controlled missile systems are not within our control. Hence, these foreigners decide when they want to turn the Philippines into a battlefield. It will be the Philippines which will be the battleground, not their own countries. Pimentel's the Senate Minority Leader said in the Fiber message. He said that the fate of the Filipino people should not be left to the hands of foreigners who may even be pursuing a capitalist business, money-making agenda at the expense of the Filipino nation. Senate President Francis Escudero said the missiles Putin was referring to could probably be just part of the Philippines' military exercises and enhanced defense cooperation agreement (EDCA) with the United States. I don't know about that. Maybe it was just based on their own intel. Maybe they were just part of EDCA or a military exercise being held, and these would be taken or removed Sunday, he told reporters. Russia should not have anything to do with our country having its own military capability, including a missile system. That is ours, and other countries should not meddle, he added. It's a different matter when other countries deploy war equipment here. But Putin was referring to our own. Other countries should not interfere because it is our right to have our own equipment to defend our country, as Kudera said further. If we would ask help from other nations, excuse me, um, excuse me once again, instead of them just being there to the rescue, it would be better if they would help build us our own capacity, and capability not to engage in a war, but to be able to provide a deterrence against any attempt or threat that may be brewing in the region, the Senate leader said. And now for international headlines. Hurricane Burial brought devastating winds and heavy rain to several Caribbean islands on Monday as the earliest ever Category 4 storm churned westward. Carriacou Island, which is part of Grenada, Nada, took a direct hit on Monday morning from the storm's extremely dangerous eye wall, with sustained winds at upwards of 150 miles, with sustained winds up at upwards of 150 miles with 240 kilometers per hour, the U.S. National Hurricane Center said. Nearby islands, including Grenada and Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, also experienced catastrophic winds and life-threatening storm surge, according to the NHC. Video obtained by AFP from St. George in Grenada showed heavy downpours with trees buffeted by gust. Posting a video showing large waves, the office of the Prime Minister of Grenada wrote on Facebook that the Triland state was experiencing intense winds and damage. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation, the NHC said. Residents should not leave their shelter and remain in place through the passage of these life-threatening conditions. Experts say that such a powerful storm forming this early in the Atlantic hurricane season, which runs from early June to late November, is extremely rare. It is the first hurricane since NHC records began to reach the Category 4 level in June. Only 5 major Category 3 plus hurricanes have been recorded in the Atlantic before the first week of July. Hurricane expert Michael Lowry posted on social media platform X. Barbados appeared to be spared from the worst of the storm but was still hit with high winds and pattering rain, as officials reported no injuries so far. The island's meteorological agency downgraded a hurricane warning Monday afternoon to a wind advisory until 6 p.m. local time. Barbados seemed to have dodged a bullet, Minister of Home Affairs and Information Wilfred Abrahams said in an online video, but nonetheless gusts are still coming. The storm force winds are still coming, he said. The hurricane warning was also lifted in Tobago, the smaller of the 2 islands that make up Trinidad and Tobago, officials said. The storm prompted the cancellation of schools on Monday in several of the islands, while a meeting this week in Grenada of the Caribbean Regional Bloc CARICOM was postponed. Peril is expected to remain a powerful hurricane as it continues traveling westward, the NHC said, with tropical storm warnings or watches announced in Jamaica and in parts of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. The NHC also warned the Cayman Islands and areas on the Yucatan Peninsula to monitor the storm progress. And alright, with that, for more news, updates, and information, keep it right here on koolFM. We will continue bringing you headlines later with koolNews at 11 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and prime time at 9 p.m. Until then, I am Aspir, and this has been koolNews Early Edition. Have a good morning, stay safe, and take care, and we will see you later at 11 a.m. Goodbye for now.